Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of WOWSA Live. We actually have a guest, Serbo. He's actually in a hotel in Reno, Nevada, because he just did a great swim in Lake Tahoe. Hello, how are you?
Good. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Good, good. And I know years ago you and I met, 2015, Tampa Bay Frogman Swim. It was a cold day. I remember it was a very cold day, and you were shivering uncontrollably afterwards, but you had a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
And today, and yesterday, and the day before, when you did your Lake Tahoe crossing, you had another big smile on your face. Yeah, tell me how was it?
It was really good. It was more challenging than I thought,
Uh-huh.
certainly. I thought, the conditions were really benign for Lake Tahoe, as you might imagine. I know you know, but the water was a good 67, 68 the whole way. Was
Okay.
beautiful conditions. The water was flat water, awesome flat water. No headwind, just flat water. But it certainly was challenging. Um, I think, well, we did have some air quality issues because of the fires,
Ah,
as you know.
yes, yes. Okay.
But close to the water on my day, it was not that bad. So I really did not feel any kind of any problems with the air and my breathing. But I will say that the um, the altitude and I think the fresh water for me, because I'm a Florida
Yeah.
swimmer.
Yeah.
So salt water is my natural habitat,
Yeah.
and so fresh water is kind of we have some rivers that I swim at, but very infrequently.
Uh-huh.
So the salt water, the fresh water, really kind of is different, a different feel than salt water for me. So I think those two things, the altitude and the fresh water, really made it challenging for me. And but let me tell you, Reptile was awesome. I mean, he did a great job with guiding me. It was perfect. The pilot, John, the observer, totally professional. I mean, he was dialed in on all of my, and I loved reading the observer notes. It was fantastic. So, I mean, everybody was extremely professional, great, and of course my crew, Tommy Schwartz, who was the best at making sure my feeds were right on time. And so it just everything there was, can I tell you, it was one of those swims where sometimes you have, headwinds and chop, and you have just crazy things, storms blowing up and squall lines and who knows what, boating, and this one was just no drama, just
Wow.
a straight up awesome, beautiful swim. But at the same time, it was really, really challenging. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a really challenging swim. So,
So
but
how
it was
does this,
awesome fun.
yeah, so how does a swimmer who trains at sea level, literally at sea level, suddenly shift gears from the very salty Gulf of Mexico waters up to Lake Tahoe at 6,200 feet?
Well, let me tell you, it's not only that. Right now in Florida, the water is it just kind of went down from 92 to 86 degrees.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
So I have not been, I mean, I did a couple of memorial events and some exhibition events for friends in
Mhm.
the open water this summer. But for the most part, I have not swum open water since May.
Oh,
So it was all pool swimming, and the pools, they could not keep the chillers on long enough to chill the pools below like 84 degrees.
wow.
So, so you have two issues going on, really. Is you're not swimming open water, you know,
Yeah,
which you really need to, if you're doing open water swims, you got to train open water, you
right.
know. And so I felt that was, and then of course, in January, February, March of this year, I was totally acclimated, no problem with 61, 62 degrees, even 60 was fine. But if you're swimming in hot water for,
Yeah.
4 months, and just to come up here and just get into cooler water, it's a little tough. So, the altitude was definitely a challenge. I felt it. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, the time that I felt it the most, it was odd. It really was. I felt it during my stop when I fed. You know, I
Okay.
was, I was when I started treading water with my legs.
Yeah.
I couldn't catch my breath when I was feeding.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but then when I started swimming, it wasn't as bad. I could feel it,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as pronounced,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, it was, I mean, let me just say that, sorry.
No problem.
Let me just say that, my, I have my English Channel Swim scheduled for this year. So my English Channel Swim, my window was August 19th to the 24th.
Okay.
So I was training for the English Channel, and they had a 2-week quarantine.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was my flight was supposed to leave the 17th, and I kept training all the way up to the end, hoping they would lift the quarantine on the United States.
Got it.
And they didn't do it. So I pulled the plug the second week in August for the channel, which was a good thing because come to find out, as you probably know, because you watch and everybody watches and does marathon swimming watches, nobody crossed between August 15th and September 1st.
Yeah.
So, and the first person to cross, I think, was Vera, who was the 16-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she was one of the first person who we did an article on, which was awesome. I met her in Cork Distance Week last year.
Okay.
And, but I would have been sitting there for 2 weeks anyway and missed my window, you know? So this was kind of a consolation prize, or I called it a consolation prize, and
now when did you make that decision to go up to Lake Tahoe? Was that when you pulled the plug in the English Channel?
I called Reptile 3 weeks ago.
Really?
I called Tom 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, and he had canceled. They had canceled the Maui swim on Labor Day in Hawaii, so the weekend opened up for him.
Got it.
So, so I had Tommy, a friend of mine, my training partner. He wanted to do the width, and so he came out. He crewed for me, and I crewed for him.
Got it.
So it worked out perfectly. It was a great swim. So Tommy did the Viking this morning. So we just left Tahoe this morning. It was we met at 3, jump time at 4 at the Cave Rock. And then we swam into Emerald Bay, and that's the Viking swim. It's 10.5 miles, and Tommy did it in 4 hours and 53 minutes, which we're still awaiting to see whether or not he actually beat the fastest time across that, the Viking swim. So
wow.
We'll see. But I crewed for him, and it was awesome. And I got to swim with him the last 1.5 miles in Emerald Bay, which is just, if anybody wants to do like a shorter swim and just kind of get their feet wet and kind of know what open water swimming's all about, the Viking swim is like the best swim. I mean, it's relaxing. It's not, you don't have to put too much effort in,
Yeah.
You can really feel good about it,
Yeah.
And so and you don't feel horrible afterwards like I did after my swim. So
well, I mean, you did a 11-hour, what was the exact time?
it was 11 hours and 22 minutes. So on Friday you do the 11-hour swim. The next day you're crewing for Tommy? Well, actually Saturday, that was Sunday morning. So Saturday we went up to Echo Lake.
Okay.
And we hiked a couple of miles up to this mountain lake. And then we swam in Echo Lake. We swam a couple of miles in Echo Lake that next day. And that was just fabulous. I mean, the beauty of Echo Lake, it was up at 8,000 feet. And the water was like maybe 64 and the average was low, and the average was about 66. But the rock formations and just everything it was like a glacier lake, and it was just so gorgeous. And just to see the Sierras in the background, and I got a lot of good pictures. So we both swam, and it was awesome. So I was sore, don't get me wrong. I mean, my tries and my lats were pretty sore, but I couldn't pass up, swimming in a mountain lake.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
You really made this alternative swim worthwhile.
Oh yeah, well, we swam. We swam El Dorado Beach. We swam about 6K El Dorado Beach on Wednesday. Then we swam about 4K at Camp Richards at the start of the swim. The day before I swam the length of Lake Tahoe. And then we swam after that. And then I swam Emerald Bay when Tommy did the Viking swim. So I've got I got 90,000 yards this week. So I'm good for the week.
That's great. Well, I want to take people back 5 years when you
Yeah.
first when I first met you at the Tampa Bay Frogmen Swim. And back then you had lots of goals, which you've accomplished them.
A
But
lot of them,
you
not the
still got,
one.
you still got one left. You still got one
Yeah,
left.
I still have one left. Yeah.
Yeah. But tell
The
people
triple.
how did you get that process? Because you were in your 50s at that time. And
Well, in point, yeah, I would, I think really what ended up happening was I had some significant health problems. I was overweight. I hadn't swum in 30 years. And my doctor said, I had essentially metabolic syndrome, which probably 50% of the American population have because we're sedentary, we don't eat properly, and unfortunately, and I'm going to admit this on live TV here, but that I smoked for a good 25 years.
oh
So
wow.
yeah, and so all of those things combined to really make a very bad me. And all of my friends now who know me can't even imagine, me as I was,
Yeah.
and who I am now, with the way that I eat and the way that my lifestyle is totally different. So my doctor said, look, you gotta change your lifestyle. And I made a concerted effort. I lost 60 pounds and started
Wow.
swimming. And I was diabetic and type 2 diabetic and still am, obviously. And hyperlipidemia and hypertension, all the horrible things that happen when you don't treat your body right. And so I started, length by length. I'm telling you, when I say I started 25 yards, stop, catch my breath, swim back. 25 yards, stop, catch my breath,
Wow.
swim back. It was little bites at the beginning, it really was. And but but after a while, I was doing up to 3,000 yards and then 4,000 yards. And then I did the Frogman and I was addicted to open water swimming. I mean,
Yeah.
I got addicted. And then I did Key West, and then I did Charleston. And then, just all Lido Key. I've done Swim the Suck. I just did all the events. And then I did Tampa Bay Marathon Swim, which is 24-mile swim. That was my first really long swim. Ron Collins' swim, which I highly recommend. It's an awesome swim. And it's our local swim. And it was just the easiest one to get into for a long distance,
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was once I did, and I finished that one, it's a 24-mile swim and the tides come in and out. So there are 3 tides.
Yeah.
So that was a tough swim and it was a slog,
Yeah.
but I mean, then of course, I went and did Catalina. I was out there in Catalina. I did Catalina and I did 20 bridges.
Yeah.
So I did 20 bridges. I can't remember when. And then of course I was supposed to do the channel, but then it didn't work out for me that year. So I did Scar.
Okay.
And Scar was awesome. I mean, Kent is just a great race director. And can I tell you just the logistics of that swim?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine somebody, figuring out how to do everything that he does for 4 days of swims, 9 miles, 17 miles, 6 miles, and just the kayaks, the U-Haul rentals, he just does a fabulous job of putting on an event. And that was an awesome swim where I met just people from around the world.
Yeah.
And then I did Cork Distance Week, and Ned Dennison, he's infamous for his his camp that he has for and let me just tell you, I went to Cork Distance Week and you feel like about this small because everybody's a Triple Crowner there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, oh, hi. Yeah. Oh, no, Triple Crowner. And they've done every swim known to man, so it's very humbling to go to that swim.
A question on
yeah.
Short Distance Week, on that last day, that last infamous day when he really pushes you guys. What did you have any particular experience that stands out?
Well, let me say that, I mean, Cork Distance Week was, I have my channel swim coming up. And what ended up happening was I got into a little bit of trouble in one of the swims. I had some chest issues, some problems, some breathing issues. And so the hell day really didn't pan out for me.
Okay.
What happened was what Ned had done was he did the Champion of Champions 2 days after we arrived. And I think the Champion of Champions traditionally was at the end of the week, you know? So the Champion of Champions, if you know anything about Cork Distance Week, it's one time around Sandy Cove, then a couple of times, then 3 times around Sandy Cove. So you do, successive times you get out, and then the cumulative time that, you become the champion if you win that. And I did that really well, but I just didn't feel well after that.
Okay.
Something was off. So I did really a smattering of swims, and I got back from Cork Distance Week, and it was extremely frustrating and disappointing because I just didn't know what was wrong with me, and I had to take 2 weeks off, quite frankly, because of that. So it's no joke because the water is cold.
Yes.
But let me just say that I had an awesome time there, and there's this one lake. It's called Loch Hyne. And it's fed by the tide. So it comes in from the ocean. And when the tide goes out, you have these rapids. So you can go run down the rapids and then get out and then come back. So we just did that over and over again. And the water wasn't too terribly cold. It was probably like 65 degrees, 64 degrees. So it was not crazy cold,
Yeah.
But there were some awesome, I had some awesome experiences. And in Cork Distance Week, if you want to go and meet the best open water swimmers in the world on a regular, you just go to Cork Distance Week. I mean, and then they're all there. Just like everybody. Attila was there. Attila was at SCAR too. And, he's an Ocean 7 guy.
Right.
And he's awesome. I mean, Attila's like the greatest guy, nicest fellow you want to know. And we were always like at SCAR, Patty Herman was a kayaker, who was a great swimmer as well. And I have my kayaker, Chris Burke, and they got to know each other very well. Because Attila and I were always pretty close together.
Yeah.
In our swims. So he beat me. Don't get me wrong, but.
Yeah. I want to go back to when the doctor said you got to change your life. Now, a lot of doctors tell that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's a small number of people who just say yes, I'm going to do it. Like, were you just cold turkey? Did you switch that day, or was it a process?
No, it was like a light switch turned on.
Okay.
It was a realization that I had quit smoking cigarettes maybe 3 or 4 years before, when my brother had passed away from a heart attack.
Okay.
And he was an athlete and never smoke, but he died of heart attack and quit smoking cigarettes. But I started smoking cigars. So I can tell you that the first week in January 2013 was the last cigar I ever smoked. Stopped drinking, I started going low carb, low sodium, low fat, low cholesterol, and lost all the weight, within 3 or 4 months, and started swimming about 6 months later. And that was, I mean, it was like a light switch. It really was. It was, for me, it was an epiphany. It was an understanding that, from my perspective, I think we use food as entertainment.
Yeah.
And really, to me, depending on what your issues are with your body and who you are, food is medicine. It really, if you change your mindset about what you're doing to yourself and what you're putting into your body, it's all about sustaining yourself and sustaining your life energy, and really, going forward in a positive way. And I'm not talking about the length of your life, I mean, that's something that's undetermined and that's out there, but I'm talking about the quality of your positive energy and quality of the energies in your body and what you put in it. I think on a day-to-day basis, that's what really helps your mental health, helps who you are, and keeps you going forward, And so it really was a light switch for me. There was no thought about it or anything like that. And, it's interesting you mentioned that because, when my brother died, and he was 52, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he went out for a run and dropped to his knees, and he worked out, was very healthy. That didn't really do it for me, I mean, it really didn't. It didn't wake me up. And just the test that I got, I think my triglycerides were 1,100, which are just like, my doctor had never seen 11 or 4,000. I think it was 4,000. It was some ridiculous 3,900. It was like some astronomical number of cholesterol. And she's like, your blood test was very, very bad. That was, I mean, she was like, she said, are you having any chest pains? Are you having any problems? And I had a cardiac cath right then. And I had some, plaque buildup and things like that, that really, it was like, holy cow, I'm 48,
Yeah.
40, 50, I'm not ready to, check out.
Yeah.
So it was, it was an eye opener, but let me just say that let me say this, aside from that, the people that I've met, the places that I've visited,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been all over the world to the most pristine, beautiful water holes, to swim in the most gorgeous places on earth, met the most astounding and incredible people who have achieved the most incredible thing. I was there when Sarah Thomas put her name on the wall in Dover for the quad.
Wow.
I mean, who could say they're at La Fleur the night that she puts her name on the wall for the quad? I mean, like there's so many, and all of my friends are just so accomplished and so wonderful, so the whole life change, if anybody has like an idea of changing their life and making it more meaningful and more full and more active, just, it's like, take that activity that you enjoy. And let me say that I didn't pick up swimming just on a lark. I mean, I swam when I was a kid. I was All-American in high school. I retired at 18.
Yeah.
And didn't swim for 30 years. But I had once a swimmer, always a swimmer.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it's all about. So, I knew how to swim. When I'm at the pool, I can tell when older people swam as children or when they picked it up later in life.
Yeah.
Just by their body positioning and their stroke.
Yeah.
So, it's easier for people who have done it when they were a kid to pick it up later on, and I think triathletes speak to that a lot because they hate swimming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned Ned Dennison, Attila Manioki, Sarah Thomas, your training mate, Tommy Schwartz. I mean, these, a reptile, these are like, outstanding people, but in your own right, given what you just told us, I mean, you are also an icon of the sport, and I have to hand my hat to you and congratulate you, and look forward to many more great swims in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm definitely have a lot more on my bucket list. I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination, but I will say that when I'm swimming that last 7 miles, I'm thinking, why? What? No, you're not going. Yeah, no way. And then you get out on the beach and you promptly forget about all the pain. So I don't know why we do it, but it's awesome. Thank you so much I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.